The Secrets of Star Wars is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
I am Emily Swallow, also known as the Armorer on The Mandalorian. And I'm just giving a little shout out to the Secrets of Star Wars podcast because this is the way.
Hello there.
It's a power that Jedi have that lets them control people and make things float.
Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
It's against my programming to impersonate a deity.
That's not how the Force works.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force, and I fear nothing.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
You're listening to The Secrets of Star Wars, where we talk about everything connected to that galaxy far, far away. From movies and books to TV shows and more, we are looking at the deeper themes and meanings found in the Star Wars universe. And today, we're discussing the series finale of The Bad Batch, entitled The Cavalry Has Arrived. Be sure to follow The Secrets of Star Wars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your favorite podcast app, or on the StarQuest YouTube channel. And you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, on X, where we are at SQPN, or on Instagram, where we are at StarQuest Network. And of course, be sure to get your official Secrets of Star Wars gear at SQPN.com/merch. I'm your host for tonight, Thomas Salerno, and joining me on the panel is Jon Koral. Hello, John.
Hello.
And Kathryn Laffrey. Hey there, Kathryn.
Hello.
All right, so before we dive into the main topic tonight, I just wanted to cover one or two other Star Wars related stuff. Did either of you go to a screening of the Phantom Menace re-release that they did for May the 4th weekend?
Oh, yes. On May the 4th. Yes.
on May the 4th. Great.
On May the 4th.
Wow.
It was great. Oh, my gosh. It was so good to see it again in the theater. Like, you know, the TV's fine. The surround sound at home is fine. But, nothing beats the theater. I miss good movies like that.
Yeah, I went to see it. And it's funny because that's the one prequel that I missed seeing in the theater when it was out in 1999. I think we didn't go to the movies often as a family. That was kind of a special treat thing. But I think we skipped that one because since Darth Maul was all over like the merchandising and the ads and stuff, I think my parents were like, "Oh, that looks a bit scary for you and your brother, so maybe we'll skip this one." Well, I don't know why they would think that, though, because they took me to see Jurassic Park when I was 5. That's a pretty intense movie. So, but in any case, I was glad to finally catch the Phantom Menace in theaters. I had a good time. I think it's actually the prequel I go back to the most often. I just think it's fun. The one thing that I thought, though, was really funny on the big screen was that Jar Jar's CGI really does not hold up at all. He looks like an orange blob on the big screen. But besides that, you know, I just had a lot of fun with it. And Kathryn, did you stay to the end to see the Acolyte preview? Because I did not.
Yes, I did stay till the end. I was glad someone tipped us off that it was like an end credits, and then they actually announced it in the theater too, which helped.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, let's see how this is. And yeah.
Was that a scene or was it the same trailer they released for May the 4th?
No, it was like a full scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right, I think The Matrix is going to be amazing. Oh, wait.
Is it like The Matrix?
Oh, we have Trinity in there.
Oh, right. I forgot.
She's still got her moves.
Nice. No, yeah, I caught the new trailer. I'm glad. Yeah, I heard that the scene they showed at the end of The Phantom Menace after the credits was really good. The trailer I wasn't that impressed with. It still wasn't, something wasn't clicking. It still wasn't grabbing me for some reason. And I was a little irked that they actually show the Sith at the end. Like the guy with the red lightsaber and the mask. I'm like, could you not have saved that for us seeing the show? Come on, guys. But in any case, I'm going to either be hosting or a panelist on pretty much every episode of The Acolyte. So it better be good. Anyhow,
did John see the movie?
Me? No, I didn't see anything on the 4th.
Yeah, it's like, and I almost didn't get to see it either because I wanted to take my brother with me, but he had work related stuff this weekend, so I had to go by myself. But it was cool though that I had pretty much, I went to like a matinee, so the theater was pretty much empty. There was no annoying people yelling at the screen or using their phone and stuff like that. I heard later that they were giving out, not giving out, you had to buy them separately, but at select theaters, there were these R2-D2 popcorn things buckets that you could get. He had like a straw coming out of the top of his dome that you sip the soda out of, and then when you open this panel on his back, there's popcorn in there. But
how fun.
Yeah, but it costs $50, so I'm
okay, no. I'm good.
Wow. They're always finding a way to milk us Star Wars fans out of stuff. But our main topic tonight is, of course, the Bad Batch and the finale. So I have a summary here. I had such a hard time crafting this summary because, and I'm obviously going to pass over some stuff, but we can get into the nitty gritty in a bit. But to make a long story short, and this was a 50-minute episode, by the way. I was glad we got a double-length episode this week. So on Tantus, Omega and the children managed to escape the vault, moving through the supply shafts. Omega releases the Zillo Beast from containment, which goes on a kaiju-style rampage throughout the facility, demolishing everything and everyone in its path. Using the chaos as a diversion, the kids make their way to the main hangar where they encounter Emery and Echo, who had guessed their plan earlier. Emery flies the other children out on a shuttle to safety, while Echo and Omega remain behind to free the other clones. Meanwhile, Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair infiltrate the Zillo-damaged base, only to be overpowered and captured by Hemlock's CX troopers. Crosshair has supposedly his shooting hand, we'll get into more of that later, but his shooting hand severed in the battle, and the batch are taken by Hemlock to a reconditioning chamber. Echo and Omega free the clone prisoners, Nala Se and Rampart, and begin a clone uprising. Rampart stops Nala Se from destroying the Project Necromancer computer core so that he can use the data as leverage with the Empire. But when Rampart shoots Nala Se, she releases a primed thermal detonator which explodes, killing Rampart and vaporizing the data core. Echo, Omega, and the other clones free the batch, and a pitched battle ensues in which the CX troopers are all killed. Hemlock, in a last desperate move, takes Omega hostage, but Hunter and Crosshair kill the clone commando Scorch, and with Omega's help, kill Hemlock in a final standoff. Omega, Hunter, Crosshair, Wrecker, Echo, and the surviving clones escape Tantus just as a task force of Star Destroyers arrives in orbit. Governor Tarkin decommissions Tantus Base and requisitions all funding for Necromancer to the Death Star program. The batch reunites with Emery and the children on Pabu. Emery and Echo leave for Pantora to help resettle the other clones. Omega, Hunter, Crosshair, and Wrecker remain on Pabu and are finally able to enjoy a peaceful life. In an epilogue, years later, an adult Omega says a touching farewell to Hunter and Batcher as she leaves Pabu to join the Rebel Alliance as a pilot.
Nice.
All right, so just kind of a roundtable thing. Thoughts on this final episode, John?
For me, I thought it checked all the boxes that I wanted, that I liked it to check, I guess. I mean, it did a nice job of wrapping things up, I thought. Because coming into it, I didn't know how they were going to do it with only, lately it's been those 22, 23-minute episodes, and then it was great having a double episode for this. And I just always like the way the confidence of Omega throughout it all and stuff. I mean, that's kind of neat. And I love how, from when she first interacted with the Bad Batch, her now how she interacts with her brothers, whether it's Echo and stuff. It's neat to see that growth and how it ended, in the series. So I thought they did a really good job with it.
What do you think, Kathryn?
Yeah, it was a nice wrap up. It's over though. I'm so sad it's over.
Yeah.
It's like, but no, I mean, so many great things happened that I was like, yes, okay, check. But there were some missing things that I was like, okay, where's Rex? Mm-hmm. Where's Fee? There's like people missing that I wanted to see in this. And then doggone it, Hemlock is gone and we never learned about his freaky gloved hand.
Yeah.
There better be a book somewhere or a comic or something that's got to give me backstory on that guy.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was trepidatious going in because I thought it was going to be a downer. I mean, when you pull up Disney Plus on their banner, like when they show the Bad Batch, it's like Omega in the rain looking sort of sad, and I was like, oh no, we're gonna lose everybody. And then when the episode opens, the logo is just gray with no color. And I was
the
like,
music freaked me out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When everything started going gray and the music, I was so sad.
Yeah, I was certain
they're all gonna die.
Yeah, I was certain we were gonna lose most of the batch. And I was pleasantly surprised that they managed to pull through. That was just so awesome. And it was such a wholesome ending. I just really enjoyed that. And the little epilogue was great. I wasn't expecting that. That was so, of course she goes and joins the Rebel Alliance, which, I mean, hopefully that means we'll see Omega in the future in something. And I loved Old Man Hunter. You can tell he's just been chilling out on Pabu. It's great. I did see, and I didn't see much of this, I must admit, but the day the episode dropped, I watched it first thing in the morning because I knew I didn't want spoilers. And then there were people putting fake spoilers up too, saying that like everybody dies and all that stuff. So like I was like, okay, I gotta watch it right now. So. But after I started looking through some of the discourse about it, and there was a little bit of fan rage about the death of Scorch, because apparently he is a character from the Republic Commando video game. He's one of the squad members. He's not the leader of the squad, but he is in the squad that you play with. Disclosure, I have not played this game. I've seen my brother play it because he's the video gamer in the family. So I've not really played this game, but I know about it. And I know there's the Clone Commando novels, which are different characters. But apparently Scorch is like a fan favorite or something, because like there were people really upset with how Scorch was handled in the series. They were saying you shouldn't have had him at all if he was never going to be much of a character and just Hemlock's lackey and then just die at the end. So I feel Lucasfilm could have saved themselves a lot of grief if they hadn't made that character Scorch, if he had just been a different clone commando. It doesn't bother me because I'm not a fan of the video games, but who knows though? And I have seen the video game played, so this is kind of an inside joke for people who've either played it or seen it, that Scorch could come back. He just needs to find a Bacta tank, because in that video game, Bacta tanks are like all over the place. You can like go up to these Bacta things and you hook your clone up to it and he goes, nothing like Bacta. I'm serious. That's a thing in the video game. So who knows? They could just put him in a Bacta tank and he'll be fine. But yeah, he was just an ancillary character in this series. So I think they just felt comfortable. I have to be honest, though. I had a hard time knowing which one was Scorch when they all look alike. Mm-hmm. And it's like... He's the one with the orange highlights on his armor.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Like, in certain lights, you can't even tell. If it's dark in the room, and he's usually in that command center room where it's dark, like, you can't even tell it's him because it's so dark you can't see his orange war paint.
Well, especially when they're on Tantus, too. It's like, even when they're on Tantus, unless they're on Pabu, you don't get usually a whole lot of light with the series.
That's true.
In general. So it's like, it's really hard to tell, especially when the action's real fast. And, you know, you're like, okay, so-and-so died, I think, but who was that? and then again, and then you have the same with the clones. It's like, a lot of them look similar because they're clones. And it's like,
yeah.
So unless they're like having the armor of the Bad Batch, you know, it's like, it's hard to tell them apart a lot of times unless they don't have their helmet on and certain things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the other thing is that I just noticed for the first time watching this last episode was, for some reason with clones, you cannot clone a hairline. I'm sorry, but every clone has a different hairline. I mean, even Hunter managed to keep most of his dark hair. It didn't go all gray like Rex and the gang. It's like, how is that possible?
Yeah, there must just be little mutations among all the clones, which keep them all slightly different.
Life will find a way. Oh, wait, wrong movie.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, you know, speaking of Jurassic Park, you know, we have a giant monster, that a reptilian monster that goes on a rampage in this episode. And that was a thrill for me because I'm such a fan of dinosaur movies and of Godzilla in particular. There were some funny, where are my notes? Yes. There were some interesting references to Godzilla movies and other creature features in the Zillo Beast Rampage. When Omega first lets it go, they do a close-up of its eye, which opens, and it's like bright green. That struck me immediately. That was, I think, a reference to the trailers for the 1998 Columbia TriStar Godzilla movie. Because in those trailers, and also the trailers for the toys that were associated with that movie, there was always a close-up of Godzilla's eye opening, and it was bright green. So that, I'm pretty sure that was either a reference to that or to the end of the first Hobbit movie where Smaug kind of opens his eye when he wakes up. But, you know, he then goes on a rampage. The Zillo Beast's roar, I'm almost certain, is a modified version of the roar of a monster called Anguirus, who is a dinosaur-type monster who's basically Godzilla's best friend and like his tag team buddy. It sounded just like Anguirus's roar, just a bit modulated. And then when he starts fighting the stormtroopers in the containment thing, there's one stormtrooper who's kind of shooting up at him, and he just bends over and eats them. And I'm pretty sure that is referencing a scene from the movie The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which was a movie that came out in America in 1953. It was an inspiration for Godzilla. But in that movie, the monster is moving through Manhattan and destroying stuff. And there's a cop who's shooting at it in the middle of the street. And in the same kind of, from the same angle, the monster just dips down its head and eats the police officer. So I'm pretty sure like the people behind the Zillo Beast action are also big fans of monster movies. So that was a really treat for me to see. And I like that the Zillo Beast has just found his forever home on this planet. He just walks off into the jungle and can live there forever eating other monsters.
Well, closure for Zillo Beast everywhere.
Yeah. I did think it was a little bit too easy to release the Zillo Beast. They should have had more. You shouldn't just be able to press a few buttons and pull a big lever and then the ray shield turns on. It's not password protected.
That's it. Either that or the password was Zillow, and Omega's like, okay.
Hemlock. That's the password. Oh my gosh, yeah. I love though
he
how
would be egocentric enough to put Hemlock as his password.
Yeah. I like that Omega essentially uses all the skills she's learned from the Bad Batch in this escape.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really cool.
She was such the good babysitter, too.
Yeah, I think she must be a few years older than these kids because she's taller.
Oh, she's definitely older than these kids.
Yeah.
Because when we first met her, she was, 10? And then this is supposed to be, like, by the time this is done, another 3 years. Mm-hmm. So she's a good, 13, maybe 14.
Well, I didn't think it would be so easy to reprogram a medical droid.
Oh,
and I was like, she just grabbed that little scalpel, got opened it up, moved her a few wires, and then took out Dr. Scalder.
Yeah.
But
she's definitely all her brothers. A little bit of Tech, a little bit of Crosshair, Hunter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wrecker. She did make a huge mess. So.
Yeah. What I liked is the way she did lead the little kids, because it was funny. It was funny watching there was Jax carrying that baby. Oh, what's that called? I forget the
Baron is his name. Yeah.
And then you had Evo with that little stuffed animal on her back, following him. But then what I liked was, Jax is like, oh, I'm so scared to climb the ladder and the heights. And she's like, one of the bravest, my brother hates heights too. And he's the strongest person I know. Mm-hmm. And, with Wrecker and stuff. So, it was neat how she could explain, help, encourage him that way and stuff. But then the thing I like too at the end of the Zilla Beast is when they're like, so do you think that's Echo's or Omega's handiwork?
Yes.
And they're like, oh, that's Omega. Yeah.
That was great. And when Echo says, that's exactly what I would have done.
Uh-huh.
But what I like, though, too, is he explained that he's like, look, you're building a distraction and splitting the forces. He explained why she was doing what she was doing instead of just saying, oh, OK, here's this big distraction and we're going to try to get out of here. He even took it a step further at explaining it, which was neat to hear that a little bit. But
I was really concerned for Wrecker, though, throughout the whole thing.
At the beginning, he's injured. And, although I like when Crosshair says, did you think wrestling that creature was a good idea? And Wrecker says, at the time, yes.
Yeah. He's got that huge scar across his chest armor. It's like, oh, my goodness.
Which then later in the fight with the CX troopers, they take advantage of by putting that force pike into the cracks in the armor. That looked painful. What is it with the Empire and just creating super troopers? We have the Dark Troopers in the Mandalorian and now the CX troopers, which they never said that name in the episode. I had to look it up. But at first I thought that they were supposed to be clones of the Bad Batch, identical to them, but I don't think so. I think they were just normal clones that had been reprogrammed. And in that,
it's interesting because I thought about that and I heard someone else say the same thing. Well, we know they're not clones of. Well, first of all, we never saw their faces, but seeing the skills that they were using at different times, I still wonder if they weren't sampling all the clones and giving a little boost to the juice, so to speak. I don't know, a little.
Oh, that's a possibility.
Steroid mix kind of thing, but yeah,
because they kept taking samples from pretty much anybody there, who was a prisoner. Yeah.
Yeah. Once they know you don't have the receptive M count thing or whatever, why keep taking samples unless you're gonna just keep experimenting on it? Mm-hmm. But the way that one trooper stepped out and all you see is the hand and it's kind of almost zombie-like reaching out. I was like, oh, man, do we get to see a face under that mask?
Yeah, nope. And they all kind of die brutal deaths. The one gets its head slammed through a circuit board or something like that, and Hunter impales another guy.
That got out of hand.
Sorry. I just like how Tarkin just... He was waiting for this. He was waiting for something bad to happen at this base so that he could shut it down. And I liked, by the way, the task force. It's I think in the timeline, this is the first time we see an Imperial class Star Destroyer. Because there was an Imperial Star Destroyer with 2 Venators. on either side. I liked seeing the mixed task force, which the Empire never does again because they stupidly retire the Venator, even though it's a good ship. But I liked seeing, like, obviously they gave Tarkin one of the new Imperial Star Destroyers that he rolls up in. I thought they were gonna base Delta Zero the place from orbit, but no, they went down and took the place apart. I like how his assistant says Hemlock and several troopers died. I'm like, don't you mean like hundreds or thousands of troopers died? Do you call that several?
I want to know how Tarkin got the information so fast that the base was having trouble. It's
he
like,
must
did
have
he
had
have
a mole.
spies? Yeah. Either that or someone just loves ratting everything out to Tarkin. So
I'd imagine that, like, he's a pretty powerful, influential person in the Empire, that he has people spread throughout, projects to, like, keep an eye on his rivals. Because that's the thing. I think he saw Hemlock as a rival because it was taking funds away from his pet project, the Death Star. So, yeah, I was really, like what you said earlier, Kathryn, I was really worried about Wrecker. I was really worried about Crosshair from things that they said. That scene with Crosshair. I want to talk about that scene where they stop in the jungle for a minute because Wrecker really can't keep up because the med patches they've been giving him are running out. And so they stop for a minute, and Crosshair's like, okay, new plan. You guys go and contact Rex using one of the transmitter towers. I'm going to go in and extract Omega. And they try to talk him out of it. And he said, so many things he says in that scene just tug at your heartstrings. He says, Clone Force 99 died with tech. We're not that squad anymore. That was like, oof, right in the heart. And then he says to Hunter and Wrecker, Omega needs you. I'm doing this alone. It's what I deserve. I'm like, ouch. Because he also says, if we all go in, we're not all coming out. And he's like, this is what I deserve. Like, the guilt for the things he's done in the past is just weighing on him, that he has a death wish at this point. And that was so sad.
Yeah, he's got a hard time forgiving himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got to know the gang forgives him. I mean, the batch is all with him. But yeah, I think it's just everything else in his past that really tugs at him, knowing that, he took out innocent people.
Yep.
But when he said, if we all go in, we're not all coming out. Yeah. I was like, tissue in hand. Who's going to die?
Yeah. And it was an interesting choice that they did not summon Rex and his squad.
That drove me nuts. I'm waiting for the cavalry to arrive.
Mm-hmm,
Where is he? I wanted guns a-blazing.
I'll say that. I did think that was a little deceiving because even though the little blurb for the episode said, the Bad Batch go in to get Omega or whatever, when you think of the cavalry, you don't think of a handful of people. You think of all the reserves coming through, it's like, and like Rex, like you said, or Fee and, whoever. But then I guess later on, maybe it was after they released all those clones and then the ones that stepped forward to say they were willing to help.
Oh, that was
and
great
stuff. That was the cavalry moment, but
when the one guy's like, I have one more fight left in me. Mm-hmm. That was really great. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was expecting a lot more coming through from outside of the base, not inside. So The thing that always gets me is it seems like in a lot of these shows too, it's like, it's always, I got to do this alone. This is my, and stuff. And you're like, and then it's great to see though, Hunter at that point too. It's like, because of his reservations, just how many episodes ago when Omega brought Crosshair back, and even afterwards, there's still questions. It's like, he's like, no, we're all in this together, and we're all going to do this together and stuff. And then what Hemlock sees as a weakness actually turns out to be a strength in the end. But
Right. Hemlock says the glaring weakness of clones is their loyalty to one another. And like, it just shows how he can't even conceive what motivates these people.
Well, and Rampart too, because Rampart's like, the wise decision is just get out of here. It's like, why are we willing to save these other people? Just leave, that kind of thing. And
right.
Now, granted, then he took a different tact when, he heard Omega and Alisay talking, but it was like his idea was to save his skin. Hemlock's idea is to save his, it's like, there's no loyalty, especially with Hemlock, and that kind of thing. So,
and I thought Hemlock was, despite how he thinks he's on top of everything and how smart he is, he's a bit naive, because when he's confronting Rampart, because they have Rampart in prison, and he's like, the Hemlock says, what I'm working on makes me indispensable to the Empire. And I'm like, buddy, nobody is indispensable to the Empire. As soon as they get what they want out of you, you're done. You're gone. Even Vader wasn't indispensable to the Emperor. As in Return of the Jedi, as soon as Vader fails to kill Luke, Palpatine's ready to get rid of him. So nobody is indispensable to Palpatine. So I think that Hemlock was kidding himself.
Well,
there.
and two, it's like, if you read, go through other books like Catalyst and stuff, it's like, you have Tarkin there waiting to take credit for the positives and give blame to the negative stuff, like with Krennic and stuff, with the Stardust and stuff. So it's like, not only that, you also have the politics of the higher ups that want to take out their opponents even within the Empire. So
it's like all against all. It's kind of like, and as much as the Empire is modeled on Nazi Germany, you can definitely see that, because like Hitler would set up completely opposing bureaus and organizations that had kind of the same job and just pit them against each other and see who wins. So, and that way, see, if he keeps all his underlings squabbling, nobody can threaten him, because they're all too worried about, attacking one another. But yeah, like the other thing about Hemlock too, did you guys notice how as things got worse and worse for him, he lost more and more of his usual calm, cool, and collected? He started snapping at people, and I like when he goes in to see Tarkin, and Tarkin's like, I hear you've lost control of the base, and he's like, everything is under control. Like, by the time he says control, he's got his voice under control again, but before that, he sounded like barely contained.
Yeah, he's an interesting character, that's for sure.
I would like to know more about him. Yes, more of his backstory, but where did he come from? What's up with his hand? How did he get into this research? Was he working for the Republic before this, or was he a separatist scientist, maybe? Like, because they had lots of mad science going on, so.
Oh, yeah. But the crazy thing was watching all of those, you said CX troopers is what they were called?
Yeah, CX troopers.
Just the different ways and tactics that they were fighting, all their different weapons, was crazy. I mean, especially seeing, was it Hunter that took down by the electrified Bola? Is that what they're called?
Oh, yeah, they had that was cool, yeah.
So I was like, oh, that was interesting. But then when you see Crosshair reaching for his weapon just to have his wrist stepped on, and you don't need that shooting hand. I was like, no, yelling at the screen. I was like, that's crazy.
Now, Kathryn, but before we started recording, you were talking about how, is that really Crosshair's shooting hand? Because is there inconsistency about that?
Well, obviously, I mean, you just see little scenes pop up, and I'm like going, wait, I know, like, I don't know my left from my right very well, but that was his left hand. And you see him shooting the officer on the snow planet left-handed. And then there was another scene earlier. I think he was pointing the gun at the batch. This was like season 1 or something like that, but it was left-handed. So it's like, there's times when he definitely does pistol shoot left-handed. I think most of his sniper shooting is right-handed. But yeah, it's just like I think he can get the job done, and he proved it.
Yep.
Left-handed at the end. You know, he had the shot and he took the shot, and he wasn't working alone. He was actually working with Hunter, and I loved seeing them pair up to get the job done.
That was awesome. And he was kind of leaning on Hunter was kind of his brace to like brace the shooting arm. And although my brother said to me when we got together to talk about the episode, he's like, you know, Hunter's pretty lucky that it was a blaster and not like a real like projectile shooting gun like we have, because Crosshair would have blown Hunter's eardrum out with the gun that close to his head. Because, yeah, real guns are allowed. They're not like pew pew like Star Wars guns.
Well, in addition to working with Hunter, he was also working with Omega, because she took that scalpel or whatever tool again and knew that, you know, to drive it into Hemlock's was thigh or something.
Yeah.
And then that raised the arms up so that he got the clear shot instead of in front of the body or something like that. And
I love that.
Like, and Hunter even told, you know, it's like told him, hey, she knows what to do and just wait, you know, and they're all ready. So it was, once again, all of her training came through. And
oh my gosh. Yeah. Wait for her and take the shot. That was so cool. Yeah.
Although, you know, Hemlock did fall.
He fell.
Could he somehow survive? No.
But he was also shot like 4 or 5 times. Like, I think it was my brother who said that, like, that was them sort of visually telegraphing to us that he's dead. You know,
I
like,
hope so.
I hope so, you know, like, and even if he survives that fall, he's on a planet full of man-eating monsters. So I don't think he's getting very far.
They needed to flash to the Zillo Beast walking over and just going, yes, yum, yum, yum.
Yeah, I kind of wanted the Zillo Beast to eat Hemlock in the end. That was kind of what I was hoping for, is kind of the monster kills Dr. Frankenstein kind of thing. He's such an interesting villain because of how self-confident, but also slimy. And it's like they constructed this character in a way that you hate this guy. You hate Hemlock. You know, it's like, you just want to see him get his comeuppance. You know, like.
Yeah, and then of course, what's he do? He brings back his like, you know, I'm immune to this toxin gas, because he's like, this is my potion. You know?
Oh, right. That was from when Crosshair tried to escape the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that. But that gas seemed to kill nobody in that room. Like,
it doesn't kill anybody.
Right.
It just kind of knocks you out for a while.
Oh, it's knockout gas. Okay. Because most people, even with their helmets off, just kept fighting. Yeah. I thought that was weird.
Well, what I found was interesting in that whole scene, or scenario too, was after Hemlock falls and then Omega turns to her brothers, she runs to him, but the first person she hugs is Crosshair.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, hugs Hunter. And that was really a neat scene, you know, touch to have there.
It's crazy. In all of this, you have not Tech, Echo, and Emery following the path of destruction that Omega's been making. It was crazy. Just how they all like come together.
Well, that was one of my favorite lines too, when he says, causing chaos, Havoc 5.
Yeah, that was great.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So, and then, hey kids, and other kids, or whatever. You know?
Oh yeah, and other kids. And then Nala says, it will always be Kaminoan.
Mm-hmm.
And boom.
And she says that to him, too, because he's the one responsible for essentially committing genocide on the Kaminoans. Rampart was.
Yeah, I was glad to see her back in the fight. She always seemed so defeated through all this. Like she had given up, you know, other than having a hunger strike, it seemed.
Yeah.
But no, that was just amazing to see her come through that way and have the big finish. But then all the data's destroyed.
Yeah, because the Empire never has backups of anything.
Right. So, how does Palpatine survive again? Does he gotta, like, start from scratch?
I think so. I think that shuttering the facility and shunting all the funding to Stardust, I think that's supposed to explain why it took so long. Like, why, that project, that he didn't do anything with Project Necromancer before the First Order era. That he essentially had to rebuild all that.
I mean, we still have, 15 years to go before he falls, or no, even more, 17 years before he falls down the shaft, the pit.
Yeah. I never take, like, Star Wars timeline as, like, exactly gospel, because people don't age right in Star Wars, and, like... like, so-and-so is like such and such years old at this. I'm like, no, they're not. They're way older, or they're way younger. Like, they don't look like it. It's like, so but I just accept it as like a storytelling device. But
yeah, it's all their genetics. They age differently.
It's right. Yeah. Or because they have like essentially super medicine in Star Wars, they can keep you from aging. But yeah, well, there are a lot of loose threads kind of dangling at the end of this series. One I was thinking of is, are we going to see Tantus again? Now, I know they've shuttered it. They've said that, but I wonder if it will serve a similar purpose to the planet Wayland in Heir to the Empire. Yeah. In fact, I thought they were the same planet for a long time until I looked it up before we were recording, and no, that planet is called Wayland. But the fact that they had an Imperial facility with cloning stuff in a mountain, they're very...
And that it was called Tantus, same name for the mountain.
Oh, on Wayland it's called Mount Tantus, right? That's why I thought they were the same planet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I wonder if we're going to see it again, specifically as the Thrawn storyline goes forward.
Yeah, because in the books, the first set of books from Timothy Zahn, Thrawn was the one who discovered all of that.
Yep.
So is he going to discover it again? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm hoping we see it again. I think we will see it again. It's too much of a, I don't know, like it'd be too tempting for them to use, like I definitely think so.
Well, and the fact that the cloning and Super Trooper stuff came up again in Mandalorian with Gideon, so somebody found stuff and kept it going.
Yep, yeah, and Gideon was doing it independently of what the First Order faction was doing. So it's possible that more than one group of Imperials have raided that facility for secrets. I mean,
he must have been drinking Hemlock's Kool-Aid.
I mean, Tarkin's advisor said, "Oh, nothing was salvageable," but I don't know. They didn't have time to go through that whole base, and it wasn't just one mountain too. It was several. You could see in the backgrounds. That place was huge. Who knows what other secrets are being kept there. Also, Cody. What do you guys think happened to Cody?
We never saw Cody again. We never saw Wolf again. And we know he survives.
Yep.
So
Cody, we don't know anything about, though.
Right, nothing.
He's not with Rex in Rebels, so I just assume he is a character they're going to hold on to in their back pocket until they want to use him. And I was surprised we never saw him in, say, Kenobi or something, because, he was essentially Obi-Wan. He led the clone troops that were under Obi-Wan. So
he couldn't have been the beggar on the street in Kenobi.
I thought that guy was in 501st Warpaint.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the Kenobi's division wore orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my one thing that drove me crazy, they're back on Pabu. Well, two things about Pabu. The Imperials know where it is. Why do they think they're safe there?
Yeah, I saw other people objecting to that, yeah.
And to say that, oh, these kids are all safe, we're going to get them back to their homes. I'm sorry, we still have several years of Inquisitors. Hello, all through Rebels, there were Inquisitors stealing children for the Emperor, so...
Well, I don't know if they were
safe.
No, they're not. And I don't think they were really going to send them back to their homes, because when Omega asks about it, Hunter kind of hedges, like he says, Rex and I are working on it. And the way he says that, I'm like, you're sending these kids somewhere completely else. Like, I wonder if that's like kind of the beginnings of that Jedi Underground Railroad that we saw in the Kenobi show. The Path, I think it was called.
And as a mom, I needed Baron's mom to be on Pabu running to go get that little baby.
Oh, yeah. What the heck? Yeah.
I was like, get it back to its mother, please.
In terms of why are they on Pabu? Because it's compromised. Yeah, that also bugged me. I saw some people saying that, well, it was really only Hemlock who knew the location of Pabu because it was him and Scorch who ordered the attack on Pabu. So maybe that was part of their records on Tantus that got blown up. I don't know. Because
I don't know.
They would have had to report to somebody in the Admiralty that they did that. Or maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, it's like, or maybe they just think that Pabu, there's nothing of value there in terms of like resources that we can mine or whatever. So they just leave it alone. Or
they
like
just had really good sushi. I don't know.
Really good sushi, yeah. Or they're just like, we don't want to deal with anything Hemlock related anymore. That was Hemlock's thing. All the funding's going to Stardust. Whatever he wanted there, we don't care about.
Yeah, I guess because I guess part of it thought would be, if you're wanting to do this cloning of the Emperor, Project Necromancer, but then you lose the person who was in charge of it, and you don't have any of his notes, okay, you could go and get all those kids anyways, but then what do you do with them? It's kind of like, the only issue I would have, though, is like, you have all these clones that escaped Tantus, and if you've known that, clones have hung out at Pabu, you would think somebody might want to go there for like another revenge kind of thing at some point, or, it's like, even if it's not a Hemlock, it's like, hey, you... or you maybe the Emperor or somebody would, it's like, hey, we were working towards this and then you destroyed this. Now let's go find them and seek revenge. But obviously, maybe I guess he had other thoughts, or maybe there are multiple facilities like you're talking about that are, maybe trying this, and Hemlock could have been just one of them, I guess. And
right, compartmentalized. And they said too, like, I like that they referenced what Senator Chuchi is doing on Pantora to kind of get, former clone troopers, reintegrated back into society, and, so Echo and Emery are going there to help out with that. What did you think about Emery's, her face turn into a good guy, and, and also just her ending? She's a character we might end up seeing again too, I think.
And she finally took those glasses off. Yes, she's seeing the real colors of the world. I did hear someone say, I think it was on Screen Crush, it's like, I would have shipped Emery and Echo until I realized they're siblings.
Oh, that's right. Clones are technically siblings. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was good. I mean, it was... At the end of the last episode, you had a feeling she was going that way. There was still a little something in the back of your mind, like, is she setting up? Because when you have all these, people on the Empire that are going after each other, even within the Empire, it's like, but since she is a clone and, has, maybe more ingrained in her with the support of others, not just because you felt better about it as she took care of the kids more and more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was nice to see her, help out Echo and then fly them away to the secret location that we found out was Pabu. But No, it was nice to see her, and it would be interesting to see, especially, like a series like Andor or something like that with could she be brought up with some of these characters since, it's still laying the groundwork of the rebellion.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe the Lost Kids will show up in Skeleton Crew.
I saw people mention that. Yeah. I think, too, that we're definitely going to see Omega again. I think so. That's definitely on the table. And it was very cool. Just that whole epilogue was just great. I liked that. And I like how Hunter says, if you ever need us, we'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they've earned it. They've earned their retirement. There's always the trope of the old action hero of Rambo coming out of retirement for one last ride, so.
Oh, yeah.
I think Rambo's done that twice already in his series.
And I saw somewhere online, too, and I can't remember where it was. And they were just talking about how we don't know how old Omega is. Has it only been a handful of years or more? Because the rebellion always needs pilots.
Yeah.
So are we talking Andor? Or are we talking New Hope? Or are we talking, Return of the Jedi? It's like they always need some kind of pilot. Mm-hmm. So it's like she could be throughout that whole stretch where, when is she joining up and at what point of this whole process? And then, and then it could be like, does she show up in The Mandalorian? Does she show up in Andor? Does she show up in any of these kind of series and stuff to help out? So
yeah,
it would be nice to see her in a live action show.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and in terms of one other loose end that I can think of, and it's a big one, Asajj Ventress. I saw some people too who were upset that she was just in that one episode, and but I feel the reason for that is that it's clearly set up for something else, because they have not answered, because there's all kinds of weird timey-wimey stuff going on with the novel and where she dies supposedly, and when does that take place, and why does she have a yellow lightsaber now, and when did that happen? And so there's all kinds of interesting questions around Asajj Ventress that I assume we will be getting answers to in the future.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a big galaxy. They could have stories running all over the place with all this in between and who's where, and it'll be interesting. I was kind of bummed we didn't see Wrecker and Crosshair at the end.
Yeah.
And it almost made me nervous, like, oh no, Hunter's the only one left. Was there going to be some sad story or something? But yeah, that was interesting. Or I wondered, how many endings did they test for this?
Oh.
That'd be interesting if there's some other ideas.
They could have done like Return of the King and had like 5 or 6 endings.
Well, and then a nice touch, too, was adding in the last of the Bad Batch again, because at the end you see Tex Coggles and a little remembrance of him. So they brought him into the last episode as well, which was kind of nice. So
that was awesome.
Yeah. And he's the one that taught her to fly, too. So
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
And Gonky was there too.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And it was him, because the subtitles said Gonky Gonks,
Nice.
And something, and then they had Batcher there, but it was interesting too when earlier on when Wrecker's like, I think it was Wrecker that said, "I told you we should have brought Batcher," and since they didn't bring Batcher to the on that shuttle and stuff, but. Mm-hmm. So it was nice seeing everybody. The only thing we really didn't see at the end, I think, at the end or the epilogue kind of thing, or in the future was like Fee and all that. I don't remember seeing her at all.
No,
it would have been nice to see her one more time. And actually, when they started that up, I'm like, oh, maybe Fee's on Tantus raiding the old, place, and then you realize no, it's Omega, and it's not, and she's going to a cavern, and stuff, but.
The same cavern, I think, where Asajj Ventress parked her ship.
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely missed Fee. I really loved her as a character, and I thought she was really fun. So like, I kind of wanted to see more of her in this last season, especially anytime they went to Pabu. It would have been nice.
Yeah. So did you guys have any final thoughts about this episode or the series as a whole?
I think it was great that they wrapped up these characters with this whole 3-season setup. It was really fun to watch Omega grow up, and we actually get to watch her grow up, so that was really cool. Definitely want to see more of her. She's a popular character. And then, there's so many little betweener stories. I'm going to be, checking the bookshelves frequently, see if anybody writes anything good to come into this.
Yeah. No, I like the series overall. I thought they did it really well, and this season was really good because, the prior seasons seemed to always move the story along slowly and then have a lot of filler and stuff. But this one, even when they had a slower filler episode, it still pushed the story along more so, which was really good. And I liked, Omega's development, and it's something now that it's all wrapped up, I'm anxious to go back and actually just rewatch the series at some point here and see if there's things, missed or alluded to and stuff that, that over time and stuff. It's just kind of, but for an animated series, I thought they did a really good job, and they really touched on some deeper topics.
Oh yeah.
than you would think for a typical series like that. So
yeah, that was one of the things I really loved about this show, that it continually surprised me in what they were willing to talk about and to show in this show, whether it's, the horrors of what war does to people, like in Crosshair's whole arc, and the sort of moral gray areas that happen, and just the fact that, Omega is a child growing up in this incredibly unsafe environment and, becoming this essentially kind of child soldier. She can't live a life in peace because she's constantly being hunted, and I think that makes her it makes you really root for her and really connect with her in kind of a visceral way as a character. Like I remember when this show was first being advertised and they're like, oh no, they put a kid in this show, people were saying, and I'm like, well, just wait guys. And I think it really, this show is just so good. I love it. There are very few episodes that I think in a rewatch I would skip. Even the kind of filler episodes usually have some kind of fun monster of the week, kind of stuff in them. And, I'm glad it didn't overstay its welcome either. They told a story in 3 seasons and they didn't try to artificially drag it out. So, yeah, I'm glad they did this. Kudos to the writers for writing a great show. Kudos to the voice cast.
Yeah.
To, just absolutely phenomenal. And to the animators. The animation has gotten so much better. Like, compare this to Clone Wars I think it's the best looking of the animated shows. It really is. And they really wanted to show off what they could do with rain in this episode too. Like,
Oh yeah.
Every little droplet looked like, of them being in the rain and the water physics and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, that was really great.
You just mentioned though about how people were concerned about Omega being a child, and she was a child in the beginning. But the neat thing was when they did bring the children into the Mount Tantus and stuff, then you kind of forget what children are like. And I think they did a good job of showing these are actually children and how they would react. And this is Omega and how she reacts, having been through what she's been through. And you can see the different level of maturity and, innocence and all that kind of, and stuff and I think that really helped actually too in the series at the end, because it's like, okay, here's a big difference between who Omega is and what the typical child is, whether they're running on Pabu or, she got to be a child here and there with Pabu, but it was now you did see, though, like I said, her maturity and her experience of being with the Bad Batch all those years. So
she's come a long way. Yeah. From like that one, I think it's like the second or third episode of the series where they go and meet Cut and his family, and how scared she is after that incident with the Nexu when it attacks her, and she's crying, and Cut has to kind of like comfort her because Hunter doesn't know what to do. And you have, because too, you have Hunter kind of develop into this father figure over the whole course of the series. And it's kind of parallel with Omega's kind of growing up. Oh, I love at the end, he says, you're our kid, Omega. You know, because she's like, I'm not a kid anymore. And
well, like you mentioned that too. It's like Hunter's kind of the father. Wrecker's kind of like the fun big brother, maybe, or whatever it is.
The crazy uncle.
Crazy uncle, yeah.
And Crosshair is either like a serious older brother or like our serious uncle kind of thing too. It's like teaching her and stuff, but it's like you could see somewhat of more of a family dynamic instead of even though she refers to them as her brothers. You know, it's like they do have different roles with her and stuff, and I love seeing, especially this last season, I love seeing Crosshair's development too.
Oh yeah, his redemption arc is great. Yeah,
and seeing an actual softer side or a little humor to him, and not just good soul, or what is it, good. So
soldiers follow orders.
Follow orders, yeah. So that was a nice touch too for the whole season.
Yeah.
My one last hope is that we will eventually be able to buy in stores bags of Mantel Mix. that popcorny stuff they were eating. I've heard it's at the Disney parks. I don't know if that's true, but I heard you can buy that stuff at the Disney. I'm like, they just put blue milk in stores, like for like Star Wars official blue milk. Can we not have Mantel Mix? Like, I want to try that stuff. Remember when I just thought it was so funny how Omega and Wrecker kept running up a tab at that place because they were buying so much Mantel Mix. Anyway.
Shoot, now I want caramel corn.
Yeah. This is a weird aside, but I remember going to a local movie theater once, and they had caramel corn, but then they also had a disclaimer under the caramel corn. I don't know if it was supposed to be a joke, but it said, like, caution, maybe habit forming. And I was like, what? What is in that stuff? Anyway, I guess Mantel Mix is habit forming too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we want to hear from you, our listeners. What did you think of the finale? What did you think of the series, The Bad Batch as a whole? You can let us know by sending us an email at starwars@sqpn.com, or leaving a comment on our social media pages or on our YouTube channel. Or you can find us at the StarQuest Discord server. We're at sqpn.com/discord. And before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons, including Adam G., Nicholas O., Logan K., Stuart J., and William C. Their generous donations help us to create the secrets of Star Wars and all of our shows here at StarQuest, and you can join them at sqpn.com/give. All right, thank you, Jon Koral, for joining me in sharing the secrets of Star Wars.
Thank you. I had a great time.
And Kathryn Laffrey, thank you as well.
Thank you. It was fun.
And I'm Thomas Salerno. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Star Wars on StarQuest.
Here's another show on the StarQuest Network you're sure to enjoy. PlayStation Portable. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found, or at starquest.fm/PSP.